A legal blow to the family of Harry Dunn. A high court in England ruled the American woman accused of hitting and killing the 19-year-old had diplomatic immunity at the time of the crash. Dunn was killed while riding his motorbike in August of 2019. Officials say Anne Sacoolas, the wife of a diplomat, was behind the wheel and driving on the wrong side of the road. She and her family left England less than a month later, claiming diplomatic immunity. The U.S. later refused the United Kingdom's request for extradition so she could face charges. Meanwhile, lawyers for the Dunn family have been arguing she should not have been granted immunity. Joining us now to talk more about this is CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab. Imtiaz, welcome. Great to see you. So can you explain why lawyers claimed Sacoolas didn't have diplomatic immunity and how the judge came to the decision that she did?
Yeah, good to talk to you. Well, the legal defense for Harry Dunn's family have always maintained that Anne Sacoolas simply did not have diplomatic immunity because she was the spouse of somebody working for the U.S. government at an Air Force base about an hour and a half or so outside of London. And that diplomatic immunity, the way it's defined, at least in their view, should not apply to her. Now, the British government certainly didn't agree at the time of the accident. The U.S. government didn't either, and that's why she left 3 weeks after that accident took place. But the family has maintained all along that that simply shouldn't have ever happened, and they brought this case against the UK's Foreign Office to say, listen, you were not legally entitled to make this decision to allow this person who caused the death of our son, who admitted to causing the death of our son, to get on a plane and fly back to the U.S. and not face any charges here in the United Kingdom. Now, the court here, the High Court in Britain, after analyzing the data, hearing both sides, have come to the conclusion that Ms. Sacoolas did indeed have diplomatic immunity, at least in their view. They say that because of her husband's status, that it applied to her as the spouse as well, and that for them, the case is closed.
So how is the Dunn family responding to the ruling, and are there any other legal steps they can take at this point?
Yeah, well, they're going to appeal. They've described this ruling as a, quote, blip, that their fight will continue. In fact, I was in touch with Harry Dunn's family earlier today. They say that they made a promise to their son in his dying moments that they would fight for justice. And this fight is continuing. And it's been an extraordinary fight for justice. You have to remember, in October of last year, they were in the U.S. trying to get some attention for this case, trying to meet with people within the U.S. government to appeal on their behalf, and that led them all the way to the White House, to a meeting with President Trump, where the president had Ms. Sacoolas waiting in an adjoining room to meet the family. Now, the family declined that meeting, saying they felt, quote, ambushed, and that they weren't ready to meet with Ms. Sacoolas, and ever since then have been fighting this extraordinary campaign. Much of their ire directed at the UK's Foreign Office, who they say has horribly mishandled this. And it has to be said that the UK's Foreign Office wasn't exactly warm to the Dunn family very early on in this case. In fact, some could describe they were openly hostile towards the Dunn. But public opinion here in the UK was very firmly with this family from a very small town, again, an hour and a half or so outside of London, who led this campaign, which attracts so much attention here in the UK. They are regular fixtures on most major news programs here in the UK, fighting for justice for their son, but at least today, that's not what they have.
And so, Imtiaz, how is the British government then responding to this latest development?
Well, as we've been saying, they certainly weren't exactly warm to the Dunn family early on. However, because public sentiment had changed, they too have changed their tone, saying that while they welcome the High Court's decision, saying that they themselves made the right choice at the time when Anne Sacoolas was allowed to leave the country under diplomatic immunity, and they're pleased that the courts have ruled that that was indeed the proper thing to do, they are being far more conciliatory, saying that they support the Dunn family, that if Ms. Sacoolas was to ever return herself to the UK, that they would participate in helping prosecute her, and that they would offer the family any support, and more importantly, that they will continue to ask the U.S. government to extradite her should that be something they see fit. Now, another thing that this family really wants to see happen is, we have to remember, there's a new administration coming in, President-elect Joe Biden, and they feel that they may have some sort of way forward with this incoming administration. You have to remember that in the early 1970s, Joe Biden's first wife and his very young daughter were killed in a car accident. The Dunn family say he must have some sort of sympathy towards them because they lost their son in a car accident, and they're appealing to President-elect Biden to show them sympathy and to send Anne Sacoolas here to the UK so that she can face justice and so that the family, in their words, can have closure. Tanya.
Imtiaz Tyab, thank you so much.